Radha Madana Mohan Vibrat Vindhyaranna Kalpa Kramadha Sriman Ratna Kara Singhasana Sri Radha Sri Govinda Deva Krishna Sevamana Marami Sriman Rasa Rasaramni
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and welcome to the Wednesday night reading and discussion of Caitanya-caritāmṛta from Mexico, Yautepec, Mexico. I made my way down here again. It's quite hot here, Michael. It's 100 degrees today, right now. So quite a contrast from Canada, although it's warm there now. But the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of the summer and winter seasons. They arise simply to sense perception, and one should learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. Tam stitiksha svabharata, tolerance. Because we are not the body. The body is a temple for the soul. And not only we're not the body, we're not these nationalities. What do you mean? Do you mean I'm not an American? I'm not a MAGA? Make America great again? As some people follow. And this nationalism that's going on nowadays is not a new thing. It's part of the economic and political hierarchy of material life. It just goes on. And depending on the leaders who is in charge, whether it would be Napoleon or whether it be Mahatma Gandhi, or whether it be Joe Biden or Donald Trump or Justin Trudeau or any of these other so-called leaders. They're not really leaders. Krishna is the only person really in charge. They're thinking they're in charge. They're not in charge. How do you know? Because everyone eventually dies. So eternal time factor, which Krishna says, I am, is in charge. And no one can avoid birth and death. But people are so bewildered, they think, I'm this body. I'm an American. I'm a Canadian. No. Jivara Swarupa Hoy. We're not these false designations. Indian, Chinese. But everybody thinks man, woman. And people are confused these days. Hey, Michael? They even brought it up in America about men transforming or transgendering to a woman and then engaging in women's sports and beating up the women and winning the trophies. Because they're confused. They're so confused. They don't know they Michael goes cuckoo. They don't know if they're going to say he, she, they, I, or whatever. They can't figure it out. They make up all these words. Even in the Canadian anthem, they changed it from to the word us. They're trying to minimize gender. Oh, you're not really a man or a woman, you're just an it. So lots of confusion. And this is, know it for sure, everybody in this group, this is the symptom of the Kali Yuga, the iron age of quarrel and hypocrisy. And is it getting better? Like they ask that question, Rochisha Devi Dasi. They always ask this question. Well, how do you feel after 4 years in office with this so-called leader? Is your life better or worse? That's the big question. After 4 years in office, is your life better or worse? And then if the people say it's worse, it could be for multiple reasons, then they say, oh, see, it was because of him or her that your life is worse. If you vote me in, then your life will be better because I'm a so-called conscious leader. But, just so you know, the Kali Yuga is what? Amber, the Kali Yuga means the iron age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Is there more fighting? Well, Ram Raghava, let's just go over it. There's a war between Russia and Ukraine. I just saw a broadcast from Justin Trudeau here in Canada. He said, we've given $20 billion to Ukraine to go to war. And there's thousands of people living on the streets here in Canada. They don't have a place to live. But they thought it's more important to spend $20 billion to fight a war that's not has anything to do with us between Russia and Ukraine. The iron age of quarrel and hypocrisy. Quarrel, people fighting. Where else? Look at Kali Yuga, Israel and Palestine. And just see, not only in the Russian war have there been over 1 million men killed, young men, millions, hundreds of thousands of people have been killed and injured and maimed in the war between Israel and Palestine. Yeah, the Gaza Strip has been devastated. And the people are innocent. They really are. Most people, they just want to live a simple life and be happy. That's all they want. And hopefully they have some knowledge that'll guide them. What is the purpose of human life? And it's certainly not to go to war. Kali Yuga. What's another war that's going on? Well, there's wars being prepared in all of these different places, like Pakistan and India now. Recently, so many tourists were killed innocently. Was it a war? It was a war because they went and killed these people, and now there's a reaction. And there's a threat. I was on the morning walk when Prabhupada said in Mayapur that soon there will be a nuclear war. Never was there a time when an army did not develop weapons and use them. And this is going on in the name of freedom. Freedom of what? Freedom to kill each other? Thou shalt not kill. You're a Christian and you develop a military machine that will kill millions of people all of a sudden. This is the Kali Yuga. That's the point. So we can see how the Oh, let me get rid of that. Sorry. We can see how the Kali Yuga is falling apart. Yes, it's so sad. And we're very happy to see this. But this is the nature of material world. It is in a state of decay, of terrible destruction. And this is the way of people that are demoniac. There are two types of people. There are pious people and there are demoniac people. And Krishna appears for that reason, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants. And this is the modern world that we're in. Yes, we are. And we have to understand that. So if you're feeling disturbed, it says in the Srimad Bhagavatam that one of the symptoms of people in the Kali Yuga is they're always disturbed. Dharma Bhavana? Always disturbed. So when you meet people, I meet people all the time. What's the main topic of discussion that I'm finding that people are resorting to nowadays? It's all about their government leaders. Everybody. That's all they talk about. And this is Prajalpa. And I'm seeing that Ram Raghava, I'm not going to mention his name to embarrass him. And he doesn't come to our programs anyway, but he's a godbrother of mine. And we joined the movement, more or less, he floated into Hamilton from Windsor with his wife, and we joined in 1971 together. We had a whole large colony of devotees that joined from Hamilton. A very auspicious situation, if you think about it, because it's hard to make a devotee, even one devotee, or help one person to become a devotee. I ask a lot of people, Michael, because they start to complain to us. Well, who do you think you are? Blah, blah, blah. I go, look, I'm an insignificant servant of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. And by the way, can I ask you a question? Oh, what is it? Have you ever convinced somebody to read the Bhagavad Gita or study Krishna Consciousness? And what's their answer? No, nobody. After 50 years, nothing. But they're criticizing. So it's not easy to get people to take up spiritual life in this Kali Yuga and getting back. So these are the signs of this time that we're in. And everybody is disturbed. Everybody. And that's what you're going to hear from everybody. Oh, I don't like the government. And by the way, can I say something, Ram Raghava, about what a tariff is? Just so that here everybody knows what this means. Tariff means tax. And in the Kali Yuga, what happens is the government taxes the citizens so severely that they want to run to the forest. That's in the Bhagavatam. Because they're being overburdened with taxation. This is going on. And nowadays, even in America, what they're doing, and this happened to us, we bought some books. It's a surprise we're going to share with everybody soon. We bought some books from India. Yeah, And guess what, Dharma Bhavana? Trump went ahead and put a 25% tariff on all goods, including religious books, coming from India. And now, whatever the price that we have, so say the price of the books is $15,000, then with 25% tariff, it becomes 25% more, $5,000 more. And who pays the tariff? The people. So instead of the books costing $15, they'll cost $20. I saw a post, Dharma Bhavana, of a guy running a business, a Republican, in Las Vegas. And he put on the price tag now. He goes like this. Here's the price of the item, and here's the tariff. So it's $8,000 and $2,000 tariff. So now the price for this item is $10,000 for you, the citizen. And people believe, oh, this is good. People are being manipulated, misrepresented, lied to. Look at. And this went on in ISKCON, very much so, by these people that are in the guru business. They have a tariff. Yeah, you give me a donation if I give you an initiation. Very interesting, isn't it? Business, the guru business. And we want to go to a reading. Our friend Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, by the way, our speaker, had some kind of an accident. I don't know what I called him today. I got a notice. He injured himself, slip and fall. And I've been talking about that Raghava in our classes. Padam padam vipadam natesham. You can slip and fall and die. I say to everybody, be careful. So he slipped, he fell, he hurt himself. He was at the doctor's today. He had to go for MRI and this and that. So I'm not sure how he'll be for the class. He isn't on the screen yet. If we move forward, I'm going to have Ram Raghava read from the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, and we'll discuss it and open up to the panel. If our knowledgeable and very exemplary devotee, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, can't make it back up the mountain in his car because he hurt himself. But anyway, I asked Ram Raghava to do me a favor, because being in Mexico here, I was caught up in the travel and here, but I asked him to bring up a section from the Kali, a description of Kali Yuga. So we get an idea that I was saying to this devotee from, I would go back to what I was saying, a devotee from New Vrindavan, and he's writing it all this commentary. He's supposed to be a devotee. Prabhupada did not want us, everybody, to get involved in politics. No. He gave up the nonviolent movement of Mahatma Gandhi, and he took up the Sankirtan mission of Lord Chaitanya. That's the example we should follow. So don't do that. Don't get involved in it. You're going to go around in a circle, and you're not going to end up with a conclusion on any matter, because everybody, I call it, Dharma Bhavana, the International Society of Opinionators. How about the International Society of Speculators? Unlimited opinions, unlimited speculation, and it can't help you at the time of death. No, zero. In fact, here we're clearing out Gopal's stuff, Ram Raghava. Now, he's got all kinds of stuff in his closets, shirts, pants, stuff he never wore, it's all brand. What are we doing with it? Well, we're trying to give it away to everybody, and then we're going to give it to some charity place that gives up this stuff because it's worth nothing. That's what it is. It's worth nothing. The only thing that we have that has any merit in life is the amount of time you spend in devotional service under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. Otherwise, it's a bunch of zeros. Okay, Michael? Zeros. There's no one in front. Krishna is not there. The shirt is there, the shoes are there, but Krishna is not there, and it's zero, Mr. Zero. And what are you going to do with it? Throw it in the dump or give it away. So go ahead, Ram Raghava. Let's read a bit about the Kali Yuga for everybody from Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. So I found two sections in the Srimad Bhagavatam first canto. First one is the first chapter, verse text number 10. Well, do you want me to read just the translation and purports, or how much do you want me to read?
Yeah, read a start with the reading and purports, and I might interject a few comments in between here and there. Go ahead, please.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So
Thank you.
translation is, the public, men in this iron age of quarrel, are almost always meager in the duration of life. O the member of learned society, they are not only so, but also very lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, they are always disturbed. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The specific qualification of the devotees of the personality of Godhead is that they are always anxious for the improvement of the members of the public. As such, the sages of the Naimisharanya did analyze the state of affairs of the people in this age of Kali. They found it by experience and foresight that the men in this age are of shortened duration of life. Duration of life is shortened not so much for want of sufficient food, as it is on account of irregular habits. Regular habits and simple, innocent food can keep up the standard of health of any common man. Overeating, over sense gratification, artificial standard of living, and depending too much on others' mercy kill the very vitality of human energy, and thus they become shortened in the duration of life. The people of this age are also very lazy, not only in the matter of self-realization, but also in the matter of material prosperity. The human life is especially meant for self-realization, i.e., to know what we are, what is this world, and what is the supreme truth. This life is meant for ending the miseries of material existence, of hard struggle for life, and going back to Godhead, which is our eternal home. But on account of bad system of education, they are completely aloof from such self-realizational path, and even they come to know about it. Unfortunately, they become victims of misguided leaders. They are not only victims of different political creeds and party, but also they are victims of many types of sense gratificatory agencies, such as the cinema shows, sporting, gambling, clubs, libraries, bad associations, smoking, drinking, cheating, pilfering, bickerings, and so on and so forth. Their mind is always disturbed and full of anxieties on account of different engagements. In this age, many unscrupulous men manufacture imaginary religious faiths without any reference to the standard Vedic literatures of revealed scriptures, and persons who are addicted to the above-mentioned different types of sense gratificatory institutions are attracted by such institutions of religious faith. The result is that in the name of religious faith, so many sinful acts are being enacted, and the people in general are not in peace of mind nor healthy in constitution. The brahmachari system of these student communities is no longer maintained. Neither the householders do observe the rules and regulations of Grihastha ashram. As such, the so-called vanaprastha and the sannyasins who come out of such Grihastha ashrams are also deviated from the rigid path. The whole atmosphere is now surcharged with faithlessness. They are no more interested in the necessities of spiritual values. Matter and material sense gratification is now the standard of civilization. And to maintain such material civilization, they have formed into groups of nations, peoples, communities. And there is constant strain of cold and hot war between the different groups of mankind. It has become very difficult, therefore, to raise the standard of humanity in the present distorted condition of the human society. The sages are anxious to get out of the tangle all of the fallen souls. They are seeking the remedy from Srila Sutta Goswami. Oh, I think we lost Vishwakarma Prabhu. While we're waiting for him, Dharma Bhavana Prabhu, would you like to say a few things?
Hold on a second here. Oh, yeah,
You're
okay. Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I was just going to mention how about 4 years ago, I slipped and broke my arm, a hairline fracture. I tripped over some tools in the garage area. Another time I slipped and broke my glasses. So a lot of times when you're over 65, 70, if someone slips, gets her legs tangled up and falls down, that's not unusual at all. It's what happens to older people. One of my neighbors, this lady, she devotee, kind of slipped and broke her leg or arm in 2 or 3 places, and it took a long time to recover. And so this is kind of what happens. It's pretty natural because we don't have perfect senses and our balance has become less. Now I was going to also mention how it mentioned in the purport you were reading how people in Kali Yuga tend to manufacture imaginary religious faiths. So I was going to ask the question in general: what if some kind of new people come to Krishna consciousness? Maybe they've been practicing for 3 or 4 years, as much as they can, along with their family and their professions, and they try to be have a Prabhupada-centered kind of organization. Maybe it's a social group where they're trying to make it, as spiritual as possible, and they have a hard time, taking, guidance from older devotees because they think they know what to do. They think they have it kind of figured out. So I was going to ask that sort of as a question for everybody who could comment on that, because I think this happens around the world. It's not like in the 1970s, everyone it was either brahmacharya or brahmacharini to start with, at least maybe 97%. And we worked from 4 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock at night with morning program, evening program, and some kind of activities during the day, like Harinam Sankirtan, book distribution, cooking, deity worship, so many, and taking care of the cows, so many different activities. And hardly anybody was distracted by having a profession. You just could dedicate yourself to whatever temporary situation you was in. But now the training is a little bit different because most everybody has a family and most everybody has a very demanding job. And if we have a material education, we might become maybe proud that we know so much, and it kind of distracts away from our spiritual culture we're trying to cultivate. So I was going to kind of mention that as a question to anybody.
Thank you.
Maybe
Thank
for
you
later
that.
on.
And Vishwakarma Prabhu is back.
Okay.
I'm having
Go ahead.
trouble with the internet connection here, and the computer is starting to overheat because of the temperature at 100 degrees.
Mhm.
So we'll see how we go on, Rupa Ram Raghava. We'll see how we can carry on. If somehow or other our technology fails, everybody know we'll be back on Saturday, but we'll carry on with the discussion. Any further comment from Ram Raghava, please? Because I lost some of the signal.
Yeah, I read that first section. Can I go ahead and read the second section that I found?
Please go ahead. Thank
Okay.
you.
So this is from the 5th chapter of the 1st canto. Text number 11, purport. I'll read the translation first. On the other hand, the literature, which is full with descriptions of the transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, pastimes, etc., of the unlimited Supreme Lord, is a different creation of transcendental vocabulary, all meant for bringing about a revolution in the impious life of a misdirected civilization of the world. Such transcendental literatures, even though irregularly composed, is heard, sung, and accepted by the purified men who are thoroughly honest. And the one that I wanted to read was here in the purport, right here. And because there's a war is going on right now. While preparing this commentation on this particular stanza of Srimad Bhagavatam, we have a crisis before us that our neighboring friend China has attacked the border of India in a militant spirit. We have practically no business in the political field, and yet we study situation that in old age, there were both China and India, and they lived peacefully for centuries without any ill feeling between them. The reason is that they lived in those days in an atmosphere of God consciousness, and therefore every country over the surface of the world was God-fearing, pure-hearted, simple populace, and there was no question of political diplomacy for nothing. Practically, there is no cause of quarrel between the two countries of China and India on the issue of a land which is not very suitable for habitation, and reasonably there is no cause of fighting on this issue. But due to the age of quarrel, Kali, which we have discussed in these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is always a chance of quarrel on slight provocation. This is due not to the issue at question, but it is due to the polluted atmosphere of this age, when systematically there is propaganda by a section of people to stop glorification of the name and fame of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, there is great need of disseminating the message of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world. It is the duty of every responsible Indian to broadcast the transcendental message of Srimad Bhagavatam throughout the world, to do them the supermost good, as well as to bring about the desired peace in the world. Because India has failed in her duty by neglecting this responsible work, there is so much quarrel and trouble all over the world. We are confident if the transcendental messages of Srimad Bhagavatam is received only by the leading men of the world, certainly there will be a change of heart, and naturally the people in general will follow them. The mass people in general are, so to say, tools in the hands of the modern politicians and leaders of the people. If there is a change of heart of the leaders only, certainly there will be a radical change in the atmosphere of the world situation. We know that in our honest attempt for presenting this great literature conveying transcendental message, for reviving the God consciousness of the people in general, as a matter of re-spiritualization of the world atmosphere, is fraught with many difficulties. In regard being had to facts that our capacity of presenting the matter in adequate language, especially a foreign language, will certainly fail, and there may be so many literary discrepancies in spite of our honest attempt to present it in the proper way. But we are sure that with our all faults in this connection, the seriousness of the subject matter will be taken into consideration, and the leaders of the society will still accept this on account of its being an honest attempt for glorifying the Almighty Great, so much now badly needed. When there is fire in the house, the inmates of the house go out for help from the neighbors, who may be foreigners to such inmates, and yet without any adequate language, the victims of the fire express themselves, and the neighbors understand the need, even though not expressed in the adequate language. The same spirit of cooperation is needed in the matter of broadcasting this transcendental message of the Srimad Bhagavatam throughout the whole polluted atmosphere of the present-day world situation. After all, it is a technical science of spiritual values, and as such, we are concerned with the techniques and not with the language. If the techniques of this great literature are understood by the people of the world, there is the success.
So this is the situation. It's a matter of education, not indoctrination. And what's going on in the modern society is people are indoctrinated through social media, through all kinds of tools that people use to control people's thought process, and misdirected them in the purpose of human life. This is a great thing that we are aware of. And it's also a case in the matter of spiritual life, where people use spiritual life as a means of manipulation of people's minds. So it's a tragic situation, and very much a situation dramatically being committed by our God brothers in the ISKCON group. And we see it when you go online. They're advertising courses, different types of courses on how to take care of teenagers, how to make them happy, or how to become successful in business, nothing to do with Krishna consciousness. And this is, but then at the same time, you can become my disciple. And I'll teach you how to live your life, but not how to go back home, back to Godhead. So this is very important, our information. And I mentioned good that we see Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu here on the line. We appreciate that. I mentioned Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu. The temperature here is 100 degrees. So my computer is not working at a really efficient level because it's supposed to be cool. I'm holding it up. And at the same time, the signal is being disturbed. But we'll move forward with the discussion that we've been having on the situation in the Kali Yuga and the bewilderment that many people have about their relationship or their role with the governments that they're involved in, especially when they're Vaishnavas. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, could you further comment?
Inviting me, despite my physical limitations, I'm very happy to make it back in one piece. I think it's important to understand Srila Prabhupada's position with regards to all of these conflicts, just like Ram Raghava Prabhu was reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam and Prabhupada's commentary regarding the war. And Prabhupada's position that in previous times, both India and China lived peacefully for an area of the world which is practically unfit for human habitation. But the reason they lived peacefully is because there was an atmosphere of God consciousness and spiritual values. But with the advancement of Kali Yuga, we see so much deterioration of the actual climate which is required for individuals to live peacefully, for families to live peacefully, and for nations to live peacefully. The discord comes on account of forgetfulness of Krishna, of God. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, in chapter 5, text 29, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarva loka maheshwaram suridam sarva bhutanam nyatma mam santamrityati. What this means is basically that Lord Krishna is saying that if those who want peace, that in the past, great transcendental personalities achieved peace very nicely by recognizing three fundamental principles: that God or Krishna is the enjoyer of all sacrifices and all activities. And number two, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, that God or Krishna is the proprietor of everything. Everything belongs to God. In Sanskrit, it's called Isha. Isha means the proprietor, the controller. To recognize that God or Krishna, he's the proprietor and controller of everything. Suridam Sarvabhutanam, and the third point is God is the friend of all living entities. There's no such thing as a Christian God or a Jewish God or a Muslim God or a Buddhist God or a Hindu God. No, there's only one God. Just like there's only one sun. One can't say, oh, it's a Christian sun, or it's a Jewish sun, or it's a Hindu sun. No, the sun is for everyone. Similarly, Krishna or God is for everyone. And the reason there are so many conflicts is very simple, because people forget these three basic fundamental principles. And another very important point, just like when I was in Canada for many years, I used to go from Newmarket, which is an hour north of Toronto, to Hamilton, Ontario. It's about a 2-hour drive. And there used to be a regular program at Vishwakarma Prabhu's home in Hamilton, Ontario. And what happened as part of these discussions, this was a very simple format. Small kirtan, brief kirtan, and people would sit on couches or chairs. There would be a kirtan and a reading where everybody would take turn at reading 1 or 2 paragraphs from the Bhagavatam. It was not a sermon. It was not a talking down to people. It was basically a hearing session that everybody had to hear from Srila Prabhupada. And then there would be a general, very easy to discuss very nicely. And I remember on one of these occasions, one of Vishwakarma, Prabhu's friend, discussed. He says, I've heard that Prabhupada one time said that the root cause of wars is the unnecessary killing of animals, especially the cows. I said, that's correct. Srila Prabhupada was once asked, why is it that in the history of human society, when we study the history, there every couple of years, there's always an ongoing war or conflict somewhere where so many people, innocent people, are sent to war and are being killed, they're being slaughtered. Prabhupada, because you kill the animals, and this is the reaction. Because during the Vietnam War, many devotees would ask Srila Prabhupada, why is this war taking place? What does this have to do with our peaceful life here in America? And Prabhupada, this is the result of eating meat. In Sanskrit, meat is called mamsa. Ma means me, sa means you. So you kill the animal, you eat the animal, and eventually in your next life, you will suffer. And wars, pestilence, all of these troubles in human society are due to this forgetfulness of Krishna and this unnecessary killing of animals. Just recently, I was listening to a lecture of Srila Prabhupada where Prabhupada was explaining what is suitable to be offered to Krishna. And Prabhupada said that Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he prescribes what can be offered to him. And Krishna says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhakti uparitam asnami prayatatmanaha. If someone offers me a leaf, a flower, some fruit, some water, with love and devotion, I will accept it. So in other words, Krishna has made it very simply. And Prabhupada explains, we only offer to Krishna what Krishna has prescribed. We don't offer Krishna meat, fish, eggs, and so many other things which have not been recommended by Krishna. In other words, Krishna prescribed, Prabhupada said, if Krishna wanted us to offer us these things, he would have said so. And the great acharyas like Ramanujacharya, Vedanta Desika, Pillai Lokacharya, Madhvacharya, Jayatirtha, Vyasatirtha, Raghavendra Swami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nimbarkacharya, Vallabhacharya, the 6 Goswamis, all these great acharyas, they have commented that there is specific food stuff that can be offered to Krishna. In the Hari Bhakti Vilas, there's a long list of even different kinds of vegetables that one should not offer to Krishna. So this is the recommendation of Krishna. But what is the main ingredient? Main ingredient is love and devotion. Prabhupada says, you cannot offer anything to Krishna. Nothing belongs to you. Nothing actually belongs to anyone. All you can do is offer your love and devotion to Krishna. That is the main point. That is the main point. And this is very important. Just like Prabhupada often explained, then when he first came to America and started to preach in late 1965 and 1966, he didn't bring too many rules and regulations and too many things. All he requested people is just chant, and he would cook prasadam. He would cook dal, chapatis, vegetable. He trained devotees to cook, trained devotees how to offer the prasadam. He would cook and offer the devotees, serve the devotees with his own personal hand. Prabhupada many times stated, we are a kitchen religion, that we offer foodstuff to Krishna and we distribute. And this is very important. One time in Toronto, Ontario, Canada in 1986, at that time I was working for a law firm, and occasionally I would go to the local temple to talk to devotees and take prasadam. They have a very large kirtan hall besides the temple room, and they would serve prasadam. So one devotee came to speak to me, and he says, well, I've got this idea, this devotee said, that the reason that there are troubles in this movement, this is after many of controversial events that took place in the middle of 1986, with various scandals that had been uncovered, various resignations were taking place, and there was a big uproar in the movement about what to do about this situation. So this devotee came to me and says, well, I've got a personal idea that all these troubles stem from the fact that we're not taking proper care of offering the bhoga, the prasadam, the way that Prabhupada taught us. We're not cooking it properly. We're not offering it properly. We're not distributing it properly. And that's why there's so much problem. And I said, well, I tend to agree with you, but maybe you can explain more. And his point was that during Prabhupada's presence, or let's use the word manifested presence, we all were taught a certain way to offer the bhoga so that it would eventually become prasadam. And this was well known to every devotee, that Prabhupada prescribed certain prayers, a certain way of cooking, that only initiated devotees should be in the kitchen. It should be cooked in a very clean, very special way. It should be offered a certain way that Prabhupada had prescribed. This was well known. This was well documented, and this was well followed during Prabhupada's presence. But then some devotees brought in some nonsensical idea that everything had to be changed to satisfy some so-called living guru idea. And they started to offer to different persons to cook it in different ways, to cook by individuals who may not have been properly initiated. And they were under the illusion that this is also prasadam. Well, you may think whatever you like. This devotee said, but they're also cooking in pots that Prabhupada did not recommend. I said, good point. They're also offering it with different mantras that Prabhupada did not give. Again, another valuable point. I said, the end result is, what are you eating? When it says that one should offer with love and devotion, one cannot manufacture his own way of offering to Krishna. One can't say, oh, well, some other sampradaya does it this way, some other sampradaya does it that way, and Prabhupada said so many things. Well, people can interpret whatever they want. Why did they change it without Prabhupada's specific permission, specific directive? You know, there are numerous letters from Srila Prabhupada to many devotees in the beginning, in the late 1960s, early 70s, where he described why we offer prasad bhoga to the spiritual master. There's a misconception among some people that when the spiritual master accepts the bhoga, he enjoys it. But Prabhupada says no. The spiritual master offers it to his guru, who offers it to his guru, and all the way down in line to Lord Chaitanya, even all the way to Krishna. It says this is the standard. He says you cannot offer directly to Krishna. Krishna does not accept it in that way. But some people thought themselves more intelligent. They thought, well, it says in Hari Bhakti Vilas, it says in this Shastra or that Shastra, that one should offer a different way, one should offer in a different system. That may be. I'm not qualified to comment on Hari Bhakti Vilas. I don't know Sanskrit that well. I'm more like a parrot who chants a little bit, but not much. But I do know for sure, absolutely convinced, that if we follow the instruction of the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, if we follow the directive of Srila Prabhupada, if we sincerely, with love and devotion, follow his instruction, then we will get one kind of result. But if we disregard those instructions or disobey his instruction, knowingly or unknowingly, we will get a very different result. So the problem is, the question still today, what kind of bhoga are they offering? What kind of bhoga are they eating? Is it offered according to the instruction of Srila Prabhupada? If you ask that question to some people, they don't know what to say. Many of them will become totally silent. Many of them will become angry. And many of them will give you some ridiculous explanation about, well, the food has to be offered to a living guru, the living representative. If you take the discussion a little further, who authorized those representatives? How and when were they authorized as Diksha gurus? Who authorized that system of offering bhoga to them? That they cannot explain. It's like as part of one of these programs, Vishwakarma Prabhu commented that there's a devotee in San Diego who personally witnessed how in the DD room in the San Diego temple, they keep the pictures of 20 to 25 or whatever number of some of these gurus or self-appointed gurus, and whenever one of them, a disciple or follower or initiate, happens to offer the bhoga, he picks the picture and tosses it on the altar. Okay, well, when did Prabhupada tell them to do that? How is that person qualified to take the prasadam or the bhoga all the way down to the parampara? Who authorized him to do that? When did Prabhupada ever authorize all these changes? So these are kinds of discussions that they don't like to have. They're very uncomfortable because it deals with the original deviation, the original concoction, this bogus idea that these original 11 were allegedly appointed as Diksha gurus or initiating acharyas or initiating successor gurus. As part of this discussion on this program, we've asked, when did this happen? How did this happen? Now, there's many different interpretations that we have heard, but we're asking, show us the record, the actual verifiable evidence when this thing happened in 1977. So far in the last 47 years, no one has been able to show this record. In 1969, Srila Prabhupada was having discussions with a group in India called the Chaitanya Mission in Calcutta, which were a group of Gaudiya Math followers that were discussing with Srila Prabhupada for cooperation. So there was a letter to one Bhagavat Maharaj, not the ISKCON Bhagavat, somebody else. And Prabhupada mentioned to him, I see that in your articles, you say that the Acharya has the right to appoint his successors. And Prabhupada replied that we do not find any record where our Guru Maharaj appointed any successor after him. So the same point to these God brothers who claim that they've become living gurus or living successors or so-called authorized Diksha gurus. When and where, show us the record when you were authorized specifically by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda as a Diksha Guru or initiating Acharya. Not the usual interpretation of, I was there, we were there, we really know, we really understood what Prabhupada was talking about. We've heard that a million times. Show us in writing where Prabhupada appointed you, because that is what you claimed in 1978 in your GBC reports. You claimed that Prabhupada had appointed you as an initiating Acharya. How many times do we have to say this? Stop your mythology idea. It's a concoction. It's a deviation. This is not what Srila Prabhupada established. If you think you can prove it, come on this program and give us the proof. Show us the evidence. Show us the record. The difficulty is they've invented this philosophy of minimum qualification and maximum puja and maximum money grab. That's why they can't understand and they don't want to discuss it. That is why. That's why one of their leaders, when he was suspended a couple of years later, he admitted in Topanga in California, this idea of guru appointment is a myth. They've been living in mythology. It's like somebody who talks about Bugs Bunny or Santa Claus. Sorry to inform you, but these things are fiction. Just like the post-1937 Gaudiya Math manufactured some nonsense appointment where they appointed an unauthorized Acharya and all kinds of nonsense went on. Same thing in the post-1937 ISKCON, the false ISKCON, the Maya ISKCON, the Chaya ISKCON, the shadow ISKCON. They've inflicted that deviation, imposed that deviation upon everyone, and kicked out so many devotees on account of that falsehood. Why? Why do they do these things? It's simple to understand. Profit, adoration, and distinction, the pod disease. No, I'm not referring to the PADA, the Prabhupada Anti-Defamation Association. We all know what this group is. They do their own seva. Okay. We're talking about the profit, adoration, and distinction disease. That is the trouble. Why they don't want to discuss, why they don't want to understand, why they do not want to change. And the ramifications of this has been simple. Chaos, utpat in Sanskrit. Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu has used the term utpatyadeva kalpate. If one engages in devotional service and does not follow the instruction of the Shruti, Smriti, Puranadi, Pancharatrika Vidim Vina. They say, oh no, we follow the Pancharatra. No, you don't follow anything. You follow your own mental concoction. That's what you follow. Therefore, devotees should be very, very careful not to listen or hear from these nonsense deviants. Why do we say this? Because they mislead people. Recently, as part of this program, there's been two terms that have been introduced. The International Society of Opinionators and Speculators. Prabhupada gave us a philosophy that is very exact, that is very precise. He is a very practical. In 1977, as part of a discussion with several GBC members, Srila Prabhupada says, I am the practical man here. Prabhupada knew better than anyone the history of the post-1937 Gaudiya Math and how it went off the rails and the entire momentum was lost because of whimsical ways. A great institution was lost on account of whimsical ways. We're facing a repeat. History repeats itself. Therefore, devotees should be very careful not to hear from the masterminds and those individuals who have misled thousands and millions of people. Just stick with Srila Prabhupada, follow Srila Prabhupada, worship Srila Prabhupada, and study carefully Prabhupada's instruction, Prabhupada's books, and do not hear from the deviants who have masterminded that disaster. Thank you very much. My apology for indulging again in this perpetual controversial topic. Hare
Well,
Krishna, Hare Krishna.
I thought it was excellently expressed again today and very interesting. Always interesting. It's ever fresh, actually. Because if you think about it, Yaśodā, if you have cancer, say, actually, both Yaśodā and myself are both cancer survivors. Okay. So, yeah, I wish I could. I don't have a bad advice. We'll try to do the best we can. So what happened was, I had to go for an operation. And the question is, how good is the surgeon? Now, it just so happens that in Hamilton, in the place that operates on the urinary system, they have top surgeons. And the surgeon that operated on me was Dr. Matsumoto. Now, I had a meeting with Dr. Matsumoto, and by every time I went into the operations, I had 5 operations, 4 with him. I chanted japa in the operating room. Not only did I chant japa, at one of them, they all had kirtan. They didn't know what kirtan is. They started chanting around me. I was like, geez, this is good. They've come here and chanted for me. I have no devotees with me, 0 association. Just the blessings of Lord Chaitanya and the doctors and nurses there, by the way. So Yaśodā, my point is this. When you go for surgery, do you want the second-class surgeon or the first-class surgeon? Huh? Well, everybody would say, if I go for the second-class surgeon, what may happen, Das Avatar? Because my Matsumoto, I got another friend of mine to go for an operation on a person's kidney. And I was talking to the surgeon and the patient. They were meeting and I was in the room. And then Matsumoto said to the patient, he said, "This is a very dangerous operation, but I will not make a mistake. I will not make a mistake." So the same thing. Krishna consciousness is an exact science. Now, do you want a second-class doctor or do you want a first-class surgeon to operate on your sick body? You want a first-class devotee, bona fide spiritual master, to enlighten you on the process of devotional service, not some sahaja hypocrites. We've been talking about that. The Iron Age of quarrel, the wars, and hypocrisy. What does hypocrisy mean? You say something, one thing, and you do another. That's what you are. You're a hypocrite. And that's what these people are, our God brothers that have taken up the mission of Krishna consciousness as Diksha gurus when they're hypocrites. And I spoke to one devotee about this. I said, how many examples do you have to see online? How many stories do you have to read from other people to not be convinced that this thing is a sham in the ISKCON movement? And it's not only in the ISKCON movement, it's in all religious movements. There's recently, Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, a secret letter that the Pope had written prior to his death, but it couldn't be opened till after his death. And the information in it is all disclosures about the corruption of the Vatican in working with governments. Very interesting. Very interesting. So this hypocrisy, quarrel, wars, fighting, nationalism, we're corrupted by all this, everyone. We're saturated with these mundane sounds, fake news, fake, and not only that, in the ISKCON group, they've changed all the philosophy. I sent Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu these advertisements that one of our God brothers who's a so-called ISKCON guru, is putting out every day on Facebook. So he's trying to reach as many people. And there's a fee, by the way. So they're advertising. Oh, come to our class with his daughter. His daughter had grown up in the movement. And so it's father-daughter. So he's you see when he's sitting there, when she starts to speak, he's so proud. There's my daughter. She's a sociologist. She's going to help you with your mental problems. What is this change disease that's victimizing everybody? This misinformation disease, this international society for misinformation that is being propagated by Prabhupada's own disciples. Do you think there's a reaction, Dasa Avatar? Do you think there's a reaction? Well, would you like to be one of them? Would you like to be on the deathbed, which will come at any moment, and all of a sudden the Vishudutas show up and the Yamadutas? What's the decision going to be? Well, guess. I've written a play, and we'd like to produce it for our group. It's called The Salvation of Adam. And it really is it's a takeoff from the story of Ajamil and what happens at the time of death. Because that's the critical moment when you leave. Everything, it all depends on how much Krishna conscious credits you've got in your bank account, your Krishna conscious bank account. And then the decision is made. Were you in this for your own personal motive, or were you here to serve the spiritual master, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, the bona fide spiritual master in the chain of disciplic succession from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? And we are so blessed, Michael Dillon, you know it, blessed that we have this opportunity to serve Srila Prabhupada and not be misled by people that think they're pious, they think they're helping, but in fact of the matter, they're taking themselves and their disciples somewhere, maybe to the lowest regions of the universe. Not a joke. You're playing with your eternal life, my friends. And what happened moving forward? One of our godbrothers, oh yeah, and by the way, when he interviewed me, I still have the record of the interview in 1978. I did about 10 pages of pastimes with Prabhupada. This guy didn't put anything in about the Toronto Temple in this biography, about a little bit. The biggest building in North America, and he doesn't do anything to review it. It's like nothing for him. Of course, he's an American. What do you expect from Americans? But nonetheless, that's another story. He prepared an unauthorized biography of Srila Prabhupada, which is misrepresenting Prabhupada's transcendental position as a pure devotee. And he's making out to be an ordinary person. This is the greatest offense that you can possibly do against a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, who presented Krishna consciousness to the whole world without any change. You can't do that. It's against the rules of Vaishnava etiquette. It is the worst thing you can do. And what we're going to do right now is we're going to go to this segment. And thank you, everyone, for sticking in tonight. We've had a little trouble with technology. And thank you, Yaśodā-nandana. He had a slip of fall event. And I always talk about this, you know that. I tell everybody, pray for each other and be careful. Don't make mistakes. We don't want to lose any one of you in this mission to protect Prabhupada's legacy. And we are going to move forward with this segment, the review of the unauthorized biography of Srila Prabhupada, also known as the Leelamrita, with Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu and his team. Hare Krishna.
Well, thank you for that. We are reading from the Lilamrita Review, section number 3, page number 3. Let's just read in the middle here. One may admit that Brahman is supreme and great. However, if one then concocts in that Brahman is impersonal, the whole statement has become spoiled. It has become a blasphemy to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Person, even though Brahman is great. And that clause is included in the distorted statement. When someone interprets Shastra and bona fide purports of the Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, inevitably there will be some correct statements scattered throughout the polluted propaganda. But Lord Chaitanya says that it loses its original value. Such misinterpretations misleads us and contaminates the self-evident bona fide conclusions of the Shastras. We then cannot understand the whole. Srila Prabhupada explains in Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 140. The Vedic literature is to be considered a source of real knowledge, but if one does not take it as it is, one will be misled. Srila Prabhupada explains in Adi Lila of Caitanya-caritāmṛta, chapter 7, text 132. These self-evident Vedic literatures are the highest evidence of all. But if these literatures are interpreted, their self-evident nature is lost. We quote Vedic evidence to support our statements, but if we interpret it according to our own judgment, the authority of the Vedic literature is rendered imperfect or useless. In other words, by interpreting the Vedic version, one minimizes the value of Vedic evidence. Then Prabhupada explains in Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Adi Lila, chapter 7, text 108. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu confirms that all Vedic literatures, including the Upanishads, Brahma Sutras, and others, whether Shruti, Smriti, or Nyaya, must be understood according to their original statements. To describe them in one's own way, using imperfect senses and imperfect knowledge, is a disastrous blunder. If someone says, Srila Prabhupada was fully dependent on Krishna, but then adds his own concoction that he was also confused, insecure, materially attached, dependent on karmis and mayavadis, etc., the entire statement becomes polluted and misleading. It minimizes the value of his divine grace as being fully dependent on Krishna. If we accept this two-sided viewpoint of Srila Prabhupada, it will make our understanding of what it means to be dependent on Krishna material. We might consider such a position to be mundane intellectualism. We might believe that even when a devotee is fully self-realized, he's still beaten by the whips of this material nature. This seems to be the manner, although cushioned by sentimentality, with which his divine grace Srila Prabhupada has been portrayed in the Lilamrita. The book repeatedly appears to praise Srila Prabhupada while simultaneously seeing him in another mundane perspective and describing this to be the praiseworthy quality referred to as a pious personality. The reader may be reminded of Orwellian doublethink, where war is simultaneously peace, ignorance simultaneously knowledge, and so forth. Srila Prabhupada should be and must be, according to Shastra, correctly described in the topmost terms, Nitya Siddha Mahabhagavata, fully surrendered, fully dependent on Krishna, etc. However, these terms do not sound very glorious when Lilamrita proceeds to delineate the pure devotee's activities and qualities from its independent vision which regularly is found to contradict that of Shastra. The GBC is said to have authorized the Lilamrita, but it may remain unauthorized. The book puts forth ideas which contradict Srila Prabhupada's statements and conclusions about the exalted position of the fully realized pure devotee. If we accept Lilamrita's conclusions, will we be forced to subtly interpret Srila Prabhupada's books in such a way that they may somehow be forced to correspond with the distorted understandings of the Lilamrita? The author quotes a mundane professor's review of his book, describing it as a very real human story. It seems that the Lilamrita has attempted to present His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada in terms which it theorizes can be accepted by mundaners. The approach, when viewed from the Shastric vision, appears to be that of keeping the reader at a minimum of arm's distance from the true Shastric explanation in a calculated attempt to avoid appearing unrealistic to the mundane mind. We'll stop here for now. I just want to point out that this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we have Jayananta Prabhu, Disappearance Day on Saturday. Tomorrow is Ekadasi for those who follow the Mayapur calendar. And Sunday we have Narasimha Chaturdasi. So we will have some readings on these most auspicious topics on Saturday and Sunday. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Very enlightening, everyone. Because the principle of Vani Vapu is fundamental to connecting to Krishna through parampara. And if you're not properly connected, it's like plugging into the power source and it's not connected to Niagara Falls, where we get our electricity. The light won't go on. So you plug into an authorized person who's a bogus person, and other people do that, everybody is being cheated. It's called Society of the Cheaters and the Cheated. Don't be cheated by these cheaters, because that's what's going on. And we're going to wind up the program tonight early because my computer may blow up. It's so hot. It's 100 degrees here. And thank you, Radharani, for your suggestion. Unfortunately, I'm far away from the kitchen. I can't do anything, but I'll try to get ready for Saturday. I'll have some kind of an ice pack under my computer so we don't defunct this program. And thank you. Pardon?
Sorry for interrupting, but do we have time to address a question from YouTube?
Oh, I was going to go to you and to Dharma Bhavana before we end up. So go ahead, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
There were up to 11 people watching, and there's one question from...
How many?
11 people at one time.
Okay, thank you, everybody on YouTube. Thank you. Go ahead.
And there's one question, I can't tell what his name is, but he's asking, I have a question. Where can I find a detailed information about the proper way of yoga preparation and offering process at home according to standard that was given to us by His Divine Grace?
Okay, we've given it before, and thank you for coming to the program. Yasoda is going to give a brief explanation for you. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Yeah, we've written an article which has also been posted on our website, Krishna Consciousness Society.org or .com, and Hare Krishna Society.org, O-R-G. But if you send me your email at yasoda1008@yahoo.com, that's YASODA1008@yahoo.com, I'll send you the article. This contains all kinds of quotes from Srila Prabhupada himself, where he explains the proper system of offering the bhoga so that it can become prasadam. If you send me the email, I'll be more than happy to send you the article. And as a matter of fact, anybody on this call who would like to receive the article, just send me an email or contact me some way or other, and I'll be more than happy to send you the article. Basically, it's very simple. In the beginning in 1968, Prabhupada recommended that you prepare, you offer, you take, before you offer, you have the Achaman, where you slip water three times, and you can say Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, Sri Vishnu, or Om Achyutaya Namaha, Om Anantaya, Om Govindaya Namaha. And then you offer some tulsi leaves on top of the boga, which is to be offered. You bow down and with the bell, you say Namam Vishnu Padaya three times, Namaste Saraswati Devi three times, Namo Mahabhadanyaya three times, Namo Brahmanya Devaya three times, and then chant the first line of the Gayatri mantra, the Savitri Gayatri, Om Bhurvava Savaha, 10 times. And after 10-15 minutes, Krishna, after he finishes eating, then you can take the plate and it's considered prasadam. Krishna eats it by the love and devotion. So that's the recommendation. Now, I'm perfectly aware that there's other recommendations given in different shastras by different sampradayas of how to offer. But this is the system that Srila Prabhupada, our Acharya, has recommended. So, respectfully submitted. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hold on. Thank you. Dharma Bhavana, maybe you could share a few comments before we end up the program. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, I just wanted to thank Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu for giving an email. It described some of the details back in 1978 where devotees were trying to describe that we have gotten information from some higher authorities. It was well explained, so thank you. I was going to kind of ask a question. I don't know if we have time, but
We do.
Say, for example, 1970s, almost all the devotees were brahmacharis and brahmacharinis, and had quite a good training session because we were from about 4:30 in the morning till 9 o'clock at night. We were doing morning and evening program and different types of daily sankirtan, so many activities during the day. We kind of learned a lot in maybe just a few years.
Uh-huh.
But many now, so many new devotees now have a family and a profession and maybe a college education. And the situation is a little bit different because the training is a little bit kind of different. But my question would be about what if some new devotees get together and try to have a Prabhupada-centered kind of organization, but they have a hard time taking advice from older devotees. They think they've gone to college, they think they know how to do it, and they've got a general idea that they should be successful. That's my question. Thank you, Haribol.
Okay, well, let me share an answer. First of all, you usually learn something from people that are teachers, okay? You don't just go to school and sit in class and close your mind to what the teacher says. You don't do that. Otherwise you won't pass, okay? It's that simple. And if you don't make the teacher like you, you're also in trouble. It's a problem. So you learn from other people. So if this person, say hypothetically, he doesn't want to listen to what we say, okay? How's that? Is that a good answer? A good example, Dharma Bhavana? He doesn't want to listen. Okay, so can we help him? No. If you're not prepared to hear, then how are you capable of learning? Because you're not listening. Oh, you could say, oh, I think I'll go and read Prabhupada's books exclusively. Okay, go ahead. Hopefully you'll understand what he's saying, but you have no experience. You're a neophyte. You think you know. I used to say that to people. I was the president for 11 years in Toronto. And people used to come into my office. We used to talk. And I'd look at them, I say, whatever you're thinking, whatever you think right now, and you want to say, it's wrong, I already know. It's wrong. You're not thinking properly because you don't. For whatever reason, you're not following the process. So whatever the details would be. So the point is, they think they know. Oh, I can do it. There was somebody I had a chance to associate with through one of our godbrothers. Oh, and they told me, oh, well, Prabhupada's appeared to me in a dream. Oh, really? It was so vivid, he says to me, that I might be paraphrasing. I don't want to get too far into it because I don't want to disclose the story, but he was convinced that Prabhupada appeared to him in his dream, and through this, he had experienced Vani incarnation. Oh, really? So, and now you're an initiated disciple. Prabhupada met you in a dream. Maybe you did, maybe you are, I don't know. But it doesn't work that way generally. That's not the way Prabhupada set this movement up. And we have this constant conversation, Ram Raghava, you know, about Diksha and Siksha Guru, where people are saying, well, everybody should become a Diksha Guru. Well, did Prabhupada say that he wanted everybody to become a Diksha Guru? No. Show me the proof, Michael. But Siksha? Yes. Of course, that's how the movement will keep going. Because people listen to the spiritual master, they repeat the same words from him, and in this way, they're properly teaching new people how to become connected with the Guru Parampara through the Vani incarnation, not the Vapu bag of stool, urine, and pus that these people claim is important. It's bogus, it's wrong, it's not the way of Krishna conscious philosophy. And it is been done by people who are cavalier. You know what the meaning of cavalier? I think I'll be a guru. I've been a Prabhupada disciple for 50 years. People are saying, you can be my guide, you can lead me. Will you please accept me as your disciple? The answer is no. No, thank you. But if you want to listen to instructions on how to become a devotee, we're prepared to share that with you. And if you follow it, then good things will happen in your life and it'll unfold in a Krishna conscious way. Yaśodā-nandana, maybe you could give a final statement. Go ahead.
I see.
What? Go ahead.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Here's the problem, what I see with devotees who say that I have had a dream with Prabhupada. Prabhupada said this, Prabhupada said that. Now, it's quite possible, realistically, that Prabhupada can do that. We don't deny that this can happen, but this is not the standard way of practicing Krishna consciousness. Because somebody else may say, well, have had a dream too. Prabhupada said something completely opposite. How can you check? There's no way to verify any of this. That's why Prabhupada says, read my books, follow the instruction, do the chanting, offer the bhoga in a specific way, and then you'll understand. This is the standard method. Now, this is not difficult to understand. It is not complicated. It's actually easy. This is the standard Vaishnava behavior of disciplic succession. By following another Vaishnava, another more serious Vaishnava, another more advanced Vaishnava, this is the standard. Now, the difficulty is we have some people in the movement who claimed, or I was close to Prabhupada, I really understood what he wanted, I really understood what he meant, I was there, I really understand what his real intentions were, and we're facing this problem. And the next question is, and somebody brought this up to me, he says, Yasoda, these older devotees, they say they were with Prabhupada. How come they deviated so much? That is the question. If somebody really follows Prabhupada, there's no question of major deviation. Somebody will want to follow Srila Prabhupada's standards, will want to follow Srila Prabhupada's instruction, and will want to follow Srila Prabhupada's directives without concoction. It's like I said earlier, we have no such thing as a philosophy of minimum qualification and maximum puja and maximum money grab. That is not the philosophy that Srila Prabhupada taught. So this is, we'll leave it at that as food for thought for our next discussion on Saturday morning, and we'll go on with the rest of the program.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
thank you very much. And thank you for coming through with being part of the show despite your broken body. And take care of yourself, Prabhu, please. Don't do that. It bugs me. Now, this is the point, is that all of you are Siksha gurus. That's what we want. That's what we see in you. Mother Rochisha and Ram Raghava. We don't have a hierarchy of this big guru and a big seat like one of our godbrothers. He built a suit bigger than Prabhupada's and had his disciples photograph it, and I have proof that he's sitting on a seat bigger than Prabhupada. Very offensive. No, we're not interested in that. But making devotees, helping them, and really when we say cultivating them to study Prabhupada's books, chant their rounds, and become elevated off the animal platform of life. Stop being an animal. Just stop. Well, what do you mean? Well, animals eat, sleep, mate, and defend. If that's what you're going to do, when you die, you're going to become an animal. Can you understand that? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, take your chances. Leave it at that. So we got to wind up the program, but the point is, all of you are teachers. You are, I know it. And go ahead and do your best. And if there's any help that we can provide, and we are helping, we want to help the devotees in Mexico. We want to help the devotees in Italy. We want to help the devotees in Japan. And we want to help the devotees in America, of course. America, the land of the great. We want to help everybody, and we're going to. We've got a plan. Things are unfolding in a very positive way. Trust us, and it'll manifest in due course. Just let's leave it at that. The plan is in motion, and we pray that Krishna will give us all the strength and determination to carry it out, and the facility as well. So all glories to the Sankirtan movement, all glories to the Prabhupada membership here at the Hare Krishna Society, Prabhupada Disciples Association. And we're going to look forward to all of you faithful members, serious people, Michael Dilton, to seeing you again on Saturday morning for Bhagavad Gita as it is, reading and discussion. There he is. He's giving a muscle, a fist shake. We're going to go for it. Let's go, Ram Raghava, to the chanting of Hare Krishna. 2 minutes and 54 seconds of kirtan led by Srila Prabhupada, and in the closing remarks, all glories to the Sankirtan movement.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnava devotees. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Thanks, everybody, for participating in this lively program and discussion. Thanks, Vishwakarma Prabhu in Yautepec, Mexico. We have Mataji Rochita Devidasi dans la belle province de Quebec. Ram Raghava Prabhu in Brighton, Georgia. Michael Dillon in Yuba City, California. Shyam Sundar Prabhu in Cairn, Australia. Krishna Katha Prabhu in San Diego, California. Triloka Vijay in Alachua, Florida. Rupa Goswami Prabhu in Mumbai, in Bhaktin Amber Endi in Texas, and everybody who participated in this program. We greatly appreciate your presence, your comments, and your dedication to hear Srila Prabhupada. Please join us on Saturday morning at 7 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time, corresponding to 10 a.m. Eastern Board Time. I don't know if the time sequence is same in Mexico where you are, Vishwa, but I'm sure Ram Raghava will be there and Rupa Goswami Prabhu will be there. So thanks everybody participating, and please join us for a very interesting kirtan with some Jamaican devotees, Jamaican Vaishnavas. This will last, I don't know whether it's 2 minutes, 1 minute, and 55 seconds. How long did it last, Ram Raghava?
2 minutes and 33 seconds.
Okay, so please join us for this beautiful kirtan. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,